Welcome to Rauta's opinion videos. I don't know whether this is gonna be more of a rant or just opinion stating the facts. Maybe a little bit both. I don't know. The topic here today is limited editions, limited copies, collector's editions and all that stuff. And of course the theme is music, metal music especially, but then again this is a topic that kind of applies to books, games, movies, all kind of collector's edition, but even so, more music. Now this is a topic that came to my mind for two various reasons very recently. One of them was when I was reading Deathspell Omega on Bardo Methodology Interview or Archivology Volume 1, and the band stated about their opinion, their opinion about the limited editions with which they did early in their careers, and were kind of regretting that for various reasons, which I will get into a bit. Now, the other reason is that recently Urfaust released a special edition featuring a gin bottle and a vinyl release, and it was sold out really fast. Obviously, I mean, you don't really have a big batch of gin bottles laying around, it seems so, and obviously sometimes these limited edition vinyls are gonna do the trick anyway. Now, what really happened, it seems, was that due to this massive success, or whatever you want to call it, the website for the label, Van Records, crashed down as it was some PlayStation 5 release. And big companies having their whole internet infrastructure, that is web shop technically speaking, crashing down because so many people were like storming in and making their clicks like click, I want to get this limited edition. Meanwhile, PlayStation 5 was obviously not limited as such, but because of Corona and all that stuff has affected the world, there were too many people trying to buy what wasn't available for the whole lot, and things come crashing down. So basically the same thing happened with this Urfaust release. People trying to get their web shop clicking so goddamn hastily that the whole web shop came down. Obviously not everybody who wanted to buy that gin and album package couldn't get it. Now this brings me to the topic at hand. Now everybody knows that business is mainly about two things: supply, bling, and demand, bling. And when you combine these perfectly, everybody's happy. That is, the ones selling the product, I mean, they can actually, do money while supplying their product or whatever it is called to the ones who want to buy it. They are the ones, defining demand. But when demand is bigger than the supply, you create a problem. Obviously, it's also a problem when you have a massive supply, but you don't have quite the demand. Say you print let's say 100,000 copies of some album, but only 10,000 people are gonna buy it. So what you have is an excessive amount of CDs or LPs or tape, whatever, just laying around. You have your money bound to that stuff, and it's taking a lot of space. You have to store it someplace so it doesn't really rot, and that's why you don't take it just outside or to the junkyard. But obviously you want to sell that stuff, so it's not laying around and you get your money out of it, because I mean, after all, you invested in that. Now, in a perfect world, it would be something like, okay, you have maybe demand of 10,000 people, so you probably print some 1,200 copies, 12,000 copies, that is. So obviously you have a little bit of room for selling the product later on. And that's why you keep all the people who are demanding the product kind of happy. So nobody's left out, and no scalping won't happen. And this is in fact the main plot line in this video as well. Scalpers, as it seems they are called, are the type of people who buy limited edition, might be collector's edition or whatever, limited edition of a product quickly as possible. Then later on, when the original supply has ended, they come into play and ask for a little bit extra. Say you have this wonderful piece of technology called iPhone or whatever mobile phone, doesn't really matter. Say it is limited run and it costs 1,000 euros, 500 euros, doesn't really matter. And people are buying it because it has some special logo here, special print. Maybe it's a Rauta iPhone or whatever. And people are like, okay, I want to get it. But there's only 500 copies. So the first 500 copies are sold with, say, price tag of 500 euros or dollars. Doesn't really matter. Then the scalpers who have obviously skimmed a little bit of cream for their own business, maybe they are able to take some 10%, maybe 20% even if as little as only a couple of copies of that. But they're waiting so that the people trying to get this limited edition thing are like, okay, I couldn't get their first album. I wanted it so badly. Or this phone. And then the scalpers come in like, hey, what if I told you that I have a special version of this copy? And the fans were like, drying their tears and like, yay, I want to buy it so badly, please. It's for my wife. It's for my girl. It's for my son. It's for me. I'm an avid collector of these items. And the scalpers, yeah, bring in some extra money. So let's call it 600. And then the fan is like, but it only cost like 500 originally. Yeah, scalper says. But it's now out of print. You want it now, or you want to regret it later again. First regretting that you couldn't get it when it was sold, and then when it's sold again, you couldn't still get it. Are you going to tell your wife that you're such a loser you can't get it? Okay, take my 600. Let me PayPal it right away to you. And that's how those scalpers do business. All right. Now, where's the problem, people are like, you're only stupid if you pay the price. Well, collectors are like that. They don't rationalize their things so often. This happened very much with the PlayStation 5. I'm once again using that as an example, because even though it is a mainstream product, even though there are millions of machines out there, still some people were able to, skim twice the price. So buying that 500 euro machine and then selling it for 1,000 euros for some poor bastard, or at least the price tags, they were asking a lot more like 1,200 euros. That is 1,200 euros in English. And some people, it seems, are ready to pay. I mean, they're so desperate to get that copy of this limited item. And while this PlayStation 5 wasn't clearly a limited item, still some people wanted to go into the first wave. Now it gets worse when you have these very, very limited print run items, be it LP or tape, or maybe even some weirder version of CD. Maybe it includes some pieces of bone. Maybe it includes some fingerprints by the band. Maybe it's hand signed, signatured by the band, autographs, maybe photos, DNA. I don't know. The thing here is some people are ready to pay crazy amount just that they get this Earthfest vinyl and the bottle of gin. Nobody even knows yet if it is a good gin, if it's worth buying, but they want that particular bottle so goddamn badly. They're ready to spill their guts out. They're ready to stab the guy to the next so that they can actually have that piece of limited print run. Then take photos maybe on Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or TikTok. I don't know, maybe even make a YouTube video like, hey, I have this copy, you don't have a copy. I'm very nice person. Fuck you, nice person. Anyway, the point here is people and labels, when they are making these ultra limited print runs, are kind of pissing people off. It's not very a smart move when it comes to doing business. Like again, I'm gonna state it's about supply and demand. So in case you have a supply of, 400 copies versus, 2,000 people, or whatever the thing is, you're gonna get annoyed people in big amounts just because you went for this limited run. Also because your webshop couldn't handle the storming of the customers, you're gonna make people twice as pissed. Because even if they were right at the very clock, placing their order, like, hey, the web shop opens at 9 o'clock, I'm here 8:58, ready to do some clicking, and then maniacally click, and then the web shop comes down. So it doesn't matter if you were one of the first ones there in the queue, because system couldn't handle it. And then later on, you're gonna see these limited run items on eBay or Discogs, or I don't know, even a Facebook group saying like, hey, I have an extra copy of this limited Airforce LP Plus gin bottle, now only for $9.99 for you, my friend. So what if it was originally, I don't know, 200 euros or whatever? I really don't remember the price tag. I'm just taking it out of my hat. But the next guy could be asking for 500 for it. I mean, after all, it's a limited run. And if it won't be printed again, if it won't be re-released again, I mean, the price is gonna go up eventually throughout the years, especially if the bottle is still unopened and nobody is having a thirst for some gin. So all these are creating more problems they are solving. They're creating the scalpel culture, and there are people who are ready to pay this extra money, which then again supports this scalping mentality. So this saying more than often doesn't really apply, but here it applies very well. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Because if you're supporting the scalping mechanism, you are basically making it just worse. And that's what comes back to again this Deadspell Omega example. Like they were saying, they were regretting this limited print run stuff because they figured out later on that this kind of behavior, when you do a limited run of say 200 vinyl copies, that will just create this scalping culture because there are always people looking for some easy money. I am not claiming that most people are like that. And I can really say they are assholes by nature. I mean, we all just want to survive here. But I still think they are kind of assholes. And obviously, it's not a big amount of people who are doing that. But then again, if you have a small print run, say 200 copies, you only actually need just one guy to ruin the whole system. Because this one guy, if he's smart and he has time and he has will, he can pretty much buy some 10-20% easily without a blink of an eye if he's a smart one and knows how to do that stuff. So one person can ruin easily some 10% of the deal here and then create a lot of extra money over the years. And because he has this extra money, he can basically invest and wait some, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years. He doesn't even have to settle for some few weeks and then sell it for, I don't know, some 20% extra cut. But he can just, sit on those LPs and wait for desperate people come. Because desperation, that will grow in time. So whenever like 10 years later you bring out that vinyl and you're like, hey, this is still in plastic wrapping. Where is your copy? Don't you just want it? The smell is wonderful. And the drooling fans are ready to just, I want to get it. I saved my life savings for this copy. And they're desperate and ready to buy it. And the scalping guy is like, yeah, I'm just going to place order for a new Tesla car because now I have made enough money through buying some limited run vinyls or whatever. Well, too long a video about very simple problem. But that's my take on limited run. So think twice before you support the scalping system, or you will be essentially part of the problem. Meanwhile, have a nice weekend and enjoy. Bye-bye.